You're watching KCCI, Channel 8, Des Moines, Iowa's news leader and home of live Super Doppler. This is KCCI News Channel 8 at noon.
A high-speed chase ends with 2 dead, another person injured. Good afternoon, everyone. Witnesses say the driver of the car endangered even more lives before the fatal crash occurred.
The crash took place on I-80 east of Des Moines. KCCI News Channel 8's Sheila Brummer joins us with the details.
Accident investigators still don't know why the driver. Officers tried to stop several times, didn't just pull over. The driver of the car, 23-year-old Chad Benjamin Smith of Illinois, and the passenger, 57-year-old William Cogger of Iowa, died on impact. Here's video of the crash. The car plowed into the back of a semi-truck at a very high rate of speed. Paramedics took the driver of the truck to a Des Moines hospital where he was later released. Around 10 o'clock last night, a motorist called 911 to say they just saw an erratic driver on Interstate 80 behind the wheel of a Buick. Now they thought this person might be drunk and out on the road, so county deputies and the state patrol tried to catch up with the car. They estimate the car sped up to 100 miles an hour and even more and stayed at that speed until colliding with the semi.
The deputy sheriff witnessed them from shoulder to shoulder and almost impacting several cars. The trooper also witnessed that type of activity as this car was trying to get away from officers. And
that's Sergeant Rob Hansen with the Iowa State Patrol. Now this map shows where the witnesses first spotted the car. That was near the Poweshiek-Jasper County line. Then one trooper tried to pull the car over at Kellogg, but could not pull the car over. The crash then happened near Colfax about 10 minutes after the car was first seen on the road driving erratically. An autopsy is being done to see if the driver was drunk or under the influence of drugs at the time of the accident.
All right, Sheila Brummer reporting from the newsroom. Thanks, Sheila. It was a long, intense morning this morning for firefighters near the town of Hedrick as they battled a potentially explosive situation there.
Firefighters worked all morning to put out a fire at the Pioneer Seed Condition Plant in the southwestern Keokuk County town. KCCI News Channel 8's Jeff Greenwood joins us live from Hedrick. And Jeff, why were firefighters concerned about a possible explosion there?
Well, Molly and Marcus, because that's a threat that is always present whenever you're dealing with grain products. In this case, it wasn't exactly a grain dust issue. It was more of an issue of some corn byproducts that are stored in this building behind me here. That's a corn cob storage facility. And here at Pioneer, they say that there weren't really many corn cobs in there. However, there was another corn byproduct. It's a little bit of a shell that's outside the corn kernel. They call it bees' wings. Some employees here started smelling smoke around 7:30 this morning and immediately evacuated the building. Fortunately for Pioneer, a few of its employees here are volunteer firefighters. They even had their equipment with them in their cars and immediately started taking action. Pioneer called in the fire department. They say it was a smoldering fire throughout the morning. They never did see flames coming out of the building, but again, it was a fairly dangerous fire for them. And that's why, according to the plant manager here, they had to take some special precautions with the fire department.
It's in a structure that's around 65 foot tall, and for safety of the firemen, they did not want to enter in from the bottom or the side of the bulk bin, so they got a fire truck from Ottumwa here to come down from the top and cut a hole in the top to ensure that there was no risk to any firemen from an explosion or anything like that.
And Molly and Marcus, they got that fire out and under control by 11 o'clock this morning, and fortunately, nobody was hurt.
Any idea of a cause so far, Jeff?
They don't know, Molly. That's something that they're still looking into.
All right, Jeff Greenwood live at Hedrick. Thank you for that report, Jeff. In other news this afternoon, a man who left behind signs he may have killed himself has been found alive and well in Colorado. Michael Perkins disappeared in March just as he was scheduled to appear in court on vandalism and burglary charges. The Polk County Sheriff's Department found Perkins' vehicle up by the Saylorville Lake spillway with what appeared to be a suicide note. But yesterday, police in Lakewood, Colorado announced they found Perkins safe and sound. Police say they tracked Perkins to Colorado after his wife called home to Iowa for money.
A college student charged with planting pipe bombs in Iowa and 4 other states waived his right to a preliminary hearing next week. It was 1 week ago today that federal agents brought Luke Helder to Cedar Rapids. Helder faces charges that he planted pipe bombs in 18 mailboxes. Those pipe bombs injured 6 people. A preliminary hearing would determine if there is probable cause to believe that Helder committed the crime. Helder waived his right to that hearing. A judge will decide whether to grant that request.
Time to check in with Curtis Gertz to find out what our forecast holds for today. Curtis?
Well, some nice weather ahead, but a little chilly at times. For the afternoon hour, still some departing showers in southeastern Iowa. We'll take a look at live Super Doppler. Most of this activity now east of the Ottumwa area and stretching from Keosauqua down and through, well, just around the Bloomfield area. All this still sliding off to the east, so some showers ahead for southeastern Iowa. The rest of us sunshine, but clouds developing as the afternoon goes along. For the weekend, some cold mornings ahead with lows down in the 30s, but the afternoons look to be fairly pleasant. And the 5-day forecast, mainly dry. We'll talk about that, all your weather coming up a little bit.
Cold mornings, huh? All right, I guess it's May. Thank you very much, Curtis. In other news this afternoon, President Bush today made his first public statements concerning news that he'd had a warning about possible terrorist hijacking plots before September 11th.
The president says he would have done everything in his power to protect the American people if he had specific knowledge of the September 11th attacks. But as Jennifer Jones shows us now, Congress is demanding an investigation into what President did or did not know about the terrorist activity.
For the first time, President Bush is speaking for himself about concerns that he had information that could have prevented the September 11th attacks.
Had I known that the enemy was going to use airplanes to kill on that fateful morning, I would have done everything in my power to protect the American people.
The morning began on Capitol Hill with more questions, more concerns about exactly what and how much the White House knew in the way of terrorist threats.
This is an inquiry that needs to go on simply to avoid other terrorist attacks from happening in the future.
But as Democrats in Congress and few Republicans demand an investigation, the White House defends its position not to go public with what it did know, insisting the information was vague and could not have prevented the hijackers from completing their mission. The vice president says for members of Congress to suggest otherwise is way off base.
Such commentary is thoroughly irresponsible and totally unworthy of national leaders in a time of war.
But information now surfacing reveals that as recent as the month before the attacks, intelligence officials told President Bush they believed Al-Qaeda was interested in hijacking U.S. commercial airliners. Then there was the arrest of Zacarias Moussaoui for acting suspiciously at a flight school. It was discovered later that Moussaoui was to be the fifth hijacker aboard the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. Congressional leaders say they are not trying to place blame, they just want answers, which they expect to get when a bipartisan intelligence committee hold hearings planned for next month. Jennifer Jones, CBS News, Washington.
As the war against terror continues, the British Army is confirming the Taliban fighters were killed in the mountains of southeastern Afghanistan.
And this story continues our look at the war on terrorism today. Operation Condor was launched after Thursday's attack on an Australian patrol. The operation largely is a British-led coalition, but backed by U.S. fighter jets and helicopters. There are no reports of any casualties among the international forces.
Suspicious activity around a reservoir in Connecticut led to the arrest of 3 men. According to authorities in eastern Connecticut, the men were on a water supply tank. One of the men was videotaping the area containing a dam and filtration plant. The water supply tank was shut down, though an investigation determined there was nothing wrong with the town's water supply.
Still to come today at noon, investigators in Pakistan say they think they may have found the body of murdered reporter Daniel Pearl. We'll show you what the discovery means for the investigation into the journalist's death. Police in Mexico found a stolen truck loaded with cyanide, but you'll see why that discovery does not mean the danger concerning the cargo is over yet.
And we'll show you how people along the Missouri-Illinois border are bracing for more flooding this weekend. Those stories and much more are just ahead.
Closed captioning of KCCI News Channel 8 is sponsored by the Iowa Clinic, providing excellence in health care. Find out more at iowaclinic.com. You're watching KCCI News Channel 8 at noon. Iowa's news leader. With Molly Cooney, Marcus McIntosh, and meteorologist Curtis Gertz with exclusive live Super Doppler weather. This is KCCI News Channel 8.
Authorities in Pakistan believe they can identify the body found in a grave in Karachi. Authorities there say it is of American reporter who was murdered, Daniel Pearl.
Police in Pakistan dug the body up today, and the story is topping our look at headlines from around the world this midday. The dismembered body was found in a grave on the outskirts of Karachi. Authorities also believe they have found the one-room building where Pearl apparently was being held hostage. Pearl disappeared in Karachi January 23rd. At the time, the Wall Street Journal reporter was working on stories about Islamic militants.
In what is being called a search for militants, Israeli tanks and troops swept through the Palestinian-controlled Jenin refugee camp. Palestinian officials are condemning the raid. Israeli officials say the raid went forward after intelligence information pinpointed Jenin as a location the militants retreated to after Israel originally pulled out.
A stolen truck has been found, but some of its cargo, 10 tons of deadly cyanide, is missing. It was stolen by 3 armed men Sunday north of Mexico City and found abandoned yesterday south of Mexico City. The truck was delivering the chemical to a mining company. Authorities are downplaying speculation that the cyanide is destined for use by international terrorists.
Back in the United States now, people in Missouri and Illinois are getting more of what they don't want, rain.
Floodwaters have already swamped several towns, and as Keith Oppenheim shows us now from Grafton, Illinois, the National Guard has been sent in to help with the emergency.
This section of Grafton, Illinois is a meeting of various things. On the large scale, you have the meeting of the Illinois and beyond it the Mississippi rivers. And on the smaller scale, you have the meeting of Evans and Main streets. Unfortunately, the water from the first intersection has crept into the second. That has created damage and a waiting game. The St. Louis area is a meeting of 3 big rivers, the Illinois, the Missouri, and the mighty Mississippi, all which have, in the last week, invaded low-lying areas. Places like Crystal City, Missouri, a town of 4,000 where residents are using boats to make their way around downtown. Crystal City is in the process of building a levee to keep the water out, but unfortunately, the flood came first.
You can see we definitely need a levee here. It's devastating to the town, economically.
Some businesses fight the flood by pumping out water and sandbagging. Many shut down or just have to wait until the water goes away.
Last 2 days, 3 days since they shut the highway down, we've had no business.
I caught a fish that was like this big.
Meanwhile, people adapt to the changing environment. In Crystal City, teenagers fish in the streets. And up to the north, in Grafton, Illinois, the attitudes about the flood are similar.
There's Sammy. He's stranded. He hates it.
Dick and Charlene Schudel have a house that's up against the Illinois River. And despite a basement deep in water, they view this flood as part of a cycle that they can, to some degree, accept.
Just a way of life, you know. If you want to have the nice tranquility of when the river's down and you have the birds and beautiful view, then it's just like anything else. You got to take the bitter with the sweet.
Well, the bitter and the sweet on the weather forecast is rain today, but dry this weekend. And the hope is the break in the weather will be the beginning of the end of this disaster. Reporting in Grafton, Illinois, I'm Keith Oppenheim. Now back to you.
Actually, the 5-day forecast down there, dry weather and dry weather ahead for us this weekend. Details headed your way next.
Keeping Central Iowa ahead of the storm. Your live Super Doppler 8 forecast.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. Some cumulus clouds developing out there. A little daytime heating and colder air aloft kicking up those clouds. And later this afternoon, I wouldn't rule out a few showers, but most locations stay dry. 57 degrees, let's call it mostly sunny, becoming partly cloudy, though northeast winds at 15, a bit breezy at times. The dew point this hour, presently 40 degrees, humidity 52%, and the barometer 30.17. And steady. Temperatures out there fairly cool. Typically this time of year we should be in the 70s, so a little chilly. 57 in Ames, Adel right now, 58, 53 in Indianola, Creston 57, and as you head north to Mallard, 53 degrees. Live Super Doppler still picking up a departing area of rainfall in the southeastern part of the state. We'll zoom in on that for you. Now east of the Ottumwa area, starting to push through Bloomfield, and down this way now and again chasing a few turkeys. So around Flores and Drakesville, still some showers. You'll be dry over the next 10 minutes, but kind of lingering in the southeastern part of the state. Take you to the big picture, and that rain continuing in those flooded areas of Missouri and Illinois, but again, drier weather moving there as we head in through the late part of the afternoon and the early evening. Here, those clouds pushing out across the eastern part of the state, being replaced by sunshine, but again, now seeing the cumulus develop out there. So partly cloudy skies ahead for the afternoon hour and just a couple sprinkles. Here's our Cub Cam. Now, this is from the morning when we had the clouds from that system sliding by to the south. Watch how we break free to sunshine. And then again, some clouds developing out there right now, but the beautiful sunshine was early. Amazing pictures, eh, Molly? Here's the temperatures out there. Boy, it sure doesn't look like Maine. 40s to the north, 50s as far south as Springfield, Missouri, with rain there. Topeka, 61 degrees, so really no warm readings. 40s from Green Bay and back in through Peoria, Illinois. So chilly temperatures out there, and they kind of hold on in for the weekend. A cool one as we slide through the afternoon. Again, those showers down to the south tonight. I would not rule out a record low or two in northern Iowa. Here in the central part of the state, probably missed that by a couple of degrees, but the afternoons look to be fairly nice out there. Predictor computer model, kind of a mix of clouds this evening hour, but they will dissipate overnight. As we move into Saturday, some sunshine, but then the cumulus develop once again in the afternoon hour. Sunday, some sunshine early, but then a few clouds moving in as we move into the latter part of the afternoon. So the weekend, as I mentioned, kind of a mix of sun and clouds, but it does look to be dry. Partly cloudy the afternoon hour, low 60s, and again, late afternoon, a few showers out there with the more vigorous cumulus development. Northeast winds at about 10 to 15 tonight. 37, clear skies, record low 35, so just shy of that. North winds at 5 to 10. Afternoons, though, look nice with highs rebounding into the low 60s and some sunshine. Sunday, starting out in the 30s once again, and then a high in the mid-60s, 67 on Monday, and Tuesday, 70 degrees. And don't forget the safety safari at Holmes Honda from 10 to 2. Our own Jason Parkin and Brian Carrick will be out there tomorrow.
Monday, Tuesday.
With the storm chaser, right?
All fired up and ready to go.
Okay.
No storms to chase.
But nowhere to go. Yeah, all dressed up, no place to go. All right, thanks a lot, Curtis. Well, still to come today, women who have made their mark on the lives of others here in Des Moines will be honored. We'll tell you who and why coming up next.
For up-to-the-minute weather information, day or night, call the live Super Doppler 8 forecast at 247-8880. Sponsored by Applebee's.
Welcome back, everyone. In 1982, the first 4 women were selected to be recipients of the YWCA's Women of Achievement Award. And Wednesday, June 5th, will mark the 21st annual award ceremony. With me now is Claudia Hawkins with the YWCA of Greater Des Moines to talk about this year's recipients. Claudia, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Molly.
How did this all get started 21 years ago? Why?
21 years ago, a group of YW volunteers thought this is a community, and the YW women are making a difference in the lives of this community, and they said folks need to be recognized for the work that they're doing, primarily volunteering, helping to make a difference in the lives of women and children, and primarily minorities in this Greater Des Moines community.
All right.
And now for the 21st year, 4 women will be recognized again this year.
All right. Now we have the list of their names, and who are they? And tell us a little bit about each one of them.
The 4 women this year: Barbara Boatwright, a long-time social worker, volunteer, assisted many social workers in getting a handle on how to help and work with families. The second honoree, Wanda Everidge, a 20-year volunteer with children, believe that learning in the classroom is the beginning, but lifetime learning is very important. Wanda is also now the current Associate Provost at Drake University. A third honoree, Sandra Sanchez, a volunteer working with immigrants, helping to learn about immigrant laws and helping folks coming to this community to become a part of the Greater Des Moines community and learn all about the details of immigration. And our fourth honoree, Marty Civy. Marty is a volunteer. She's an actress, but her efforts here is relating to the project that she's doing in Mitchellville with theater. that she's out at Mitchellville helping women learn theater and doing plays and productions at Mitchellville Women Facility.
How do you hear about these women? How are they nominated?
Community folks nominate them.
Okay.
We receive nominations. The nominations are available the first week in January of each year. And we get family members and friends and co-workers and church members nominate these folks. And then a committee is selected, and that committee, usually of past honorees and board members, make the process, and these folks are recognized each June.
Well, they obviously are very well-deserved recipients. The luncheon, again, will be June 5th. Tell us where and when.
Polk County Convention Complex, 5th and Grand in downtown Des Moines, 11:45 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. And lunch is served at, there's about 1,100 folks every year.
All right, it is. It's a wonderful event. Tickets $45.
$45.
More information, call 244-8961, right? Claudia, thank you very much for coming in today, and congratulations to all the award winners this year. Very well deserved. We'll be back with more right after this.
Partly cloudy skies out there for the afternoon hour. A few showers in southeastern Iowa. And later this afternoon, I wouldn't rule out a sprinkle. The weekend, though, dry but cool. Lows in the 30s, highs in the 60s.
Sounds pretty good. Thanks for joining us all this week.
We'll see you Monday.